Hi, up to this point we have talked about interaction paradigm, we have talked about design, we have talked about design discovery and usability testing. Now we will start talking about the interface components. The topics that we will discuss today, first we will discuss what we call the WIMP interface. WIMP stands for Windows, Icons, Menus, and Pointers. And then we are going to talk about other components like lists, controls, display components, text entry components, and tool containers. Let's start with WIMP. Let's start with Windows. Windows are usually rectangle boxes that are used to present the components of an application or contents of a folder. Windows were used first by Xerox Alto and later incorporated with Apple and Microsoft Windows when it started in the early 90s. The Windows is usually controlled by two things. They are controlled by the operating system and they are also controlled by the users. The users can minimize, maximize, resize, access, and organize Windows. Windows have states. The window can be in a regular state, at a regular size. The window can be maximized. It occupies the whole screen. The window can be minimized. It is reduced to a button or an icon. And the window can be restored to what it started with. Also, windows can be tiled beside each other. Windows can be overlapping. Windows can be cascaded. And windows can be interrupted. Most windowing systems are standardized. Windows look similar and behave consistent. You can select a window. If you click on the window title bar, you can maximize and minimize windows using the maximize and minimize buttons, etc. What are the Windows components? Like we can see the Windows components, we have title bars, we have the title text, the title icon, we might have a menu bar, we have, of course, we have the close button, the maximize and the minimize buttons, we have vertical and horizontal scroll bars, we have scroll arrows that we can use for scrolling, and we also have a status bar that will show us the status, and we can also resize the windows by holding and dragging the Windows frames. Windows in different operating systems look almost the same. This is what the window looks in XP, Windows XP. This is how it looks in Windows in the Mac or Apple Windows. Now, with Windows interfaces or with applications, we can have multiple document interface that we call MDI, or a single document interface, or a tab interface. So with applications, it can be one of the three. What do we mean by multiple document interface? Multiple document interface, we have multiple windows that serve as a workspace for all open documents in a certain application. For example, if we look at this application, we have two documents. We can say that these are two documents. Then these windows, what we call these floating windows or the multiple windows, relate to the document that is selected. What are the advantages of multiple window interfaces? They conserve system resources. You only use one resource or one floating window, one floating panel, or one floating control window for all the documents. They create minimal visual clutter because it's only one for the whole documents. They provide a coordinated workspace and they allow multiple documents to be simultaneously visible. There are some disadvantages. They can change according to the state of the active documents, which might lead to some confusion with the contents of each of these windows. They must remain within the MDI primary window. They must be in the vicinity. And child windows can be minimized without the parent window. This increases the visual complexity of the screen. We might minimize one window and then forget about it. The second type of interface is what we call a single document interface. Single document interfaces are document centric. They are, we have one primary window for each instance of an application document. So if we have two documents, then we will have two single document interfaces, or we will have two windows. In this example, we have two documents, and for each document, we have a completely separate window. And we can see that on the taskbar here, we have two taskbar buttons, one for each of the two applications or the applications documents. The advantages of the SDIs, they are document centric. They depend on the documents. Each document has its own window with all the functionality in that window, and they are visually less complex. They are independent of each other, and each of them can be handled as a separate application. Disadvantages, they do not provide a way to group diverse but related documents. Related documents cannot be separated from other documents of the same file type. The taskbar can become full when too many documents are open, and cycling between windows can become difficult. The third type is what we call tab documents. Tab documents, it looks like this. We have tabs. Whenever we click on one tab, it changes the documents that we are accessing. We also have dialog boxes. Dialog boxes is a special type of window that performs some secondary functionality. The dialog box might be something like a logon box, or it might be something like a format box, etc. Dialog boxes can be modal or modeless. What do we mean by that? Modal, this dialog prohibits the user from doing anything until the issues raised by the dialog are addressed, and modeless dialogs allow the user to access all programs while the dialog is still active and visible. Dialog boxes, like I said, they are used for secondary functionalities. They might be used for setting and altering the properties of an object, executing a function such as save, carrying out processes such as copy, confirming actions, alerting the user about errors. Dialog boxes can also be expanding. What do we mean by expanding? Expanding is that dialog boxes will show some of their functionality or basic functionality, and if we need some advanced functionality, we have to click on a control that will show the advanced functionality. In this case, when we click more, we will see more elements, and when we click less, we will see less. We also, in Windows, we also have what we call panes or panels. We have frames and we have tabs. Okay. In this case, these are frames. Frames are windows within windows. Panels are certain areas that have functionalities in them, and tabs, if we have more than one frame, we can use tabs. This is another form of panels, frames, and tabs. This is a frame that includes tabs, and the tabs might include panels, and the panels include functionalities inside those tabs. Why do we use Windows, or what is the rationale? Designers need to decide what type of interface to use. Do we use multiple or single or tab interfaces? We need to make sure that the Windows components are related and find the proper balance between having too many windows or too few windows. So we need to have a balance between the number of windows. Unnecessary windows can cause confusion, so we have to be really careful when we decide on the number of windows that we. And also crowded windows can also be confusing. So we have to be really patient and really look at the design thoroughly in order to make the right decision. Windows should be created because of a need. Windows components must be related. Too many components in one window can be inefficient and confusing. Too many windows with little functionality can create needless window manipulation. So we have to balance between the number of windows and the number of components within the windows. We can use tabs or panels to organize the Windows functionality. We frequently used components should be readily available, should be available in an obvious place. Less frequently used components can be placed in a secondary window, and Windows must visually indicate the activation state. You must see that the window is active or not when you click on the window. The next WIMP interface is the icons. Icons represent some form of job that we need to do using cognition, using shapes. If they are designed properly, they enhance the user's experience. If they are not designed properly, they might be obscure and ambiguous. We will discuss icons in a separate lecture in the future. Menus, we also have menus. Menus are part of the window. Menus are basically a list of options. Menus can consist of any type of data, but usually text works best. We can have text and we can have icons in menus. Structure of menus. Menus should have at least two options. Okay. And menus should be grouped using visual separators such as lines or backgrounds. We need to see the window. We need to see the menu. We need to see the menu, and it needs to be independent of the background. The presentation of the windows, of the menus. Menus should be consistent in placement, in order, in wording, etc. So when we look at a file window, we know that this window deals with files, open, close, etc. When we see an edit window, we know that this relates to editing. When we see a view window, we know that this window menu, sorry, we can see that this menu relates to viewing, and when we see an help menu, it's related to help, and so on. When we use menus, we should see where we are in the menu. We should see what option is active, what options are inactive, and which option is highlighted at the time that we are working. So options should be highlighted when the pointer passes over them. Activated options should have some visual indication, such as a check, or they should be not grayed out. If they are grayed out, they might be inaccessible. We also have what we call secondary menus. Secondary menus, we have the primary menu, and then we can have menus inside menus that we call secondary menus. Secondary menus can be part of the main menu, or they can be floating or docked on sides or the bottom of the window. Menu titles must convey all the necessary information, like we said. If it's file, it relates to files. If it's edit, it relates to editing. If it's view, it relates to viewing. If it's insert, it relates to inserting, etc. Menus are used or geared at mobile users. Menu titles should be unambiguously, like we said, scripted. We use standard menu titles. They are recognized as icons, not words. Parallel construction can reduce cognitive load if we see them next to each other. And we usually use industry, or it's recommended that we use industry standards. For example, keyboard accelerators or shortcuts. These how menu bars look like. We have, for example, file, edit, object. These with files, these with editing, these with objects, these with types, these with selection, deals with filtering. So it's obvious. Deals with help, deals with the window itself. So it's obvious what the menu topic is all about. We might have pull-down menus. Pull-down menus, you click on the menu and you create a pull-down menu, and this menu can be also expandable. The menu can be short menu, or it can be expanded into a long menu depending on the functionalities that we need. The more frequent functionalities can be in the less or in the shorter version, and the less frequently used can be in the longer version. We can have cascading menus, like we said. We can have a main menu, and we can have sub-menus, and sub-menus can go as deep as menus, like we said, can be expanding. We can have, the most frequent functionalities and the less frequent functionalities, and we can jump between the two, alternate between the two. We also have pop-ups. Pop-ups are small windows that pop up with a certain functionality or a certain message. They are usually activated when we point to a hotspot or when we right-click on something. Okay. We might have we have what we call radio buttons for exclusive choices if we need to choose one thing, and we might have checkboxes if we want to have non-mutually exclusive choices. We also have pointers. Pointers are a visual manifestation of the mouse or pointing device or any other, for example, virtual GUI environment. As we can see, the mouse is busy. The thing that we are hovering on is a hyperlink. This might show an illegal operation. This might show the splitter when we move at the windows to resize. This will show that there is some progress. The mouse is, or there is an operation in progress, and this will show us a help. So the cursor will often fall within the user's foveal vision or the cognitive vision. Other components that we might have are lists, controls, display components, text entry components, and tool containers. They are usually contained inside windows, inside dialog boxes. And for example, lists, we might have list boxes, or we might have combo boxes. List boxes will show the whole list. Combo boxes will show part of the list, and then you can scroll down or up to see the rest of the list choices. We can have spinners. Spinners contain a limited list values, and we can use arrows to increase or decrease the spinner values. We can also have sliders that will have also a limited values, the maximum and the minimum limit, and we can slide and we can move the slide between the minimum and the maximum values. We can use lists and combo boxes for multiple objects that do not fit on the screen. We use calibrations, should be alterable. List of are suitable for groups with a limited number of options. Controls are usually like buttons. We should have, for example, 3D appearance. This is not clicked, this is clicked. It's obvious that this is clicked, this is not clicked, so we need to see that it looks and feels the same. We can also have controls like these toolbars or palette buttons, where when you click on something, for example, if I click on this, I click on the rectangular selection area. If I click on this, I click on, paint brush. Here I fill with paint, here I delete, and so on and so on. So controls will use icons instead of labels to provide for functionalities. We might have display components. One of the display components that we have are splitters that can split screens, and we have also scroll bars, virtual scroll bars and horizontal scroll bars that will help me view all the data provided in the document and does not fit on the window on the view. We can also enter text. Text entry, we might have text boxes, and we might have text fields, and we might have text areas. We can have tool containers that contain tools, and we call them toolbars or tool palettes, and they contain multiple controls and multiple controls that can be used in the application. Thank you.